if you want. Aha. And then welcome everyone. It's good to be back. Happy International Workers' Day to all Nigerian workers. Tonight we begin this week's episode of the program with yet another promising conversation on the tenets of leadership and public representation. This becomes more imperative as we continue the countdown to May 29, Nigeria's constitutionally designated inauguration and political transition day for presidents and state governors. But tonight we would not be talking about the executive branch of government. As you recall, we're also counting down to June 13 when the 10th National Assembly will be inaugurated. My guest for tonight is ready, so let's not keep you waiting any longer. My name is Nnamdi Adipo. Welcome to The Mandate. For a city that has had a population of 766,298 in 2006, but of course grew at the rate of 139.7% in 2010, making it Africa's fastest growing city, as indeed one of the fastest in the world. Abuja clearly had the markings of a city on the rise. And by 2015, Abuja was already experiencing an annual growth rate, or rather growing at least 35%, meaning increased demand on existing amenities. Well, Nigeria's administrative and political capital is in focus tonight, and my guest will be speaking on how he intends to ensure that things really improve for residents across the FCT, as indeed Nigeria. He is the member-elect for Buhari Amak Federal Constituency of the FCT, Labour Party's Joshua Chinedu Obika. Honorable, I should say, it's good to have you here. Welcome to The Mandate.
Yeah, good evening, viewers. Happy Labour Celebration Day.
To all Nigerian workers.
Yes.
We're all workers, so happy Workers' Day to everyone here. So, Honorable, I would say something for your campaigns, of course, before the election, and I mean in reference to how your party, Labour Party, your campaign went in Abuja. You were quite visible. So also were the promises you made to the electorate. And I'll remind you of most of them in the course of our conversation here tonight. But let me begin with something I consider critical, a key component of your campaign, which is your promise and your vow to bring to full function a proper Federal Capital Development Authority, where you said some of the prevalent rots and neglect of infrastructure will be addressed. And now that you've won the seat, the federal constituency seat, are you still thinking of how to work out the plan for re-energizing or perhaps repackaging the FCDA, perhaps through legislation, or are the plans ready and you're raring to go?
Yes, we are ready. We are ready as the people who have the knowledge of what Abuja is all about. I can give you a brief history of who I am coming into the leadership of Abuja. As far back as 1998, I was elected a councillor here. I served as a councillor from 1999 to 2004. That will tell you that I have a little in-depth knowledge of what Abuja is all about and what Abuja should be. And I can tell you that since 1979 to date, the amount of investment that Nigerian government has made in FCT is enough to make Cotonou as a country, second world country.
Really?
I can tell you. the amount of the investment that has gone to nowhere. Today in FCT, I can tell you that most of the achievements that you see today in FCT were done by the military. Not even the civilian administration since 1999 has not really done much for the people of FCT. And that is what we're going to change going forward.
How do you intend to do that? I know you have a 6-plan agenda, a 6-program agenda. Is that enough to transform Abuja as it were?
You see, Rome was not built in a day.
Indeed, I was going to say that.
We will have to start from somewhere as far as Abuja is concerned. You talk about education, you talk about transportation, you talk about security, you talk about rural infrastructure that is not there today in FCT. You talk about health. These are the major issues affecting the FCT residents. Today in FCT, during the campaign, I went to a village called Kawu.
Kawu?
Kawu, in Kawu ward. Kawu, as a village, have one primary school. In this primary school, we have more than 620 children in this primary school, with just 9 teachers. And the day I went to that school, I only met 4 of them. One of them was even backing a child. Then you can tell me the future of these 620 children. That is an issue. These are the kind of problems that we are facing in FCT of today. And don't forget that FCT is treated just like any other state.
Indeed.
In the Federation. And the president is the governor of FCT. So FCT should be a pace-setter state where other states will emulate from. But today, that is not the case. Most of the hospitals today in FCT were built by the military. Today, the civilian administration has not done much to put other ones in place. That if you get to our hospitals today, you'll find out that there's no much doctors to attend to the people. You can see the kind of structures that we have. It's not even improved on. So a lot of things are going bad. And as I'm talking to you today, because of influx of people, the security in FCT is an issue today.
Indeed.
There are some areas that you cannot walk during the night. You can't even hold your mobile telephone, even in your car, winding your glasses down. Somebody might snatch it away from you. This is not the kind of the type of FCT that we are looking forward to have. And so we have issues.
You know, and you've ruled out these issues, or some of these issues that we have, and then your plans. Interestingly, and of course, we're going to talk about these plans that you have, and how you intend to go about them. But of course, interestingly, you already seem to have realized that in order to make progress and transformation happen in the FCT, of public officials like yourself need to set goals. In fact, I'll quote I'll quote your own words, in your own words, where you said, we need our plans boldly written for all who follow to see. Let's make Amak Buhari the paradise that we crave. That was something you said during the campaigns, and I remember it vividly because, like I said at the opening, your campaign, and I mean the Labour campaign in Abuja was quite visible, you know. But you talked about this paradise, but apparently you realized that that cannot happen, you know. I mean, it hasn't happened for you, like you insinuated. It hasn't happened for those who voted for you, believed in you, and voted for you. But then, do you also acknowledge the fact that creating this dream Abuja isn't a day's job? Maybe not even the 4 years job that, you know, which translates to your first term in office at the lower legislative assembly. What sort of work would you be proud to say you want to achieve within the timeline that you have through legislation or whatever to, you know, to make this or that promise of a dream Abuja possible for most residents of the city?
Okay, let me start with this. There is a major, when it comes to the issue of security in Abuja, the issue of city beautification, because we're not even taking that into cognizance. It's a pity that if you go around Abuja, I don't see anything that government is doing to make Abuja as beautiful as it should be. It's not just building structures or bridges or something like that. It's just more than that. One, I have this proposition about giving the indigenous people of Abuja what is called Abuja Indigenous People Development Commission. And let me tell you what that commission will do as it relates to security, as it relates to beautification of our city, and other things that comes with it. Today, if you go
So
by...
you're already telling us this is a bill you'd like to propose
Yes.
on the floor.
On the floor of the house.
Of the house.
If you go to a place like Otako, just by Bega here, by Bega Junction, there is a village located at Otako. Otako today, if you go there, there is a village located. You cannot talk about security in Abuja without taking slums of the city. That should be the part of the security arrangement. Because when these hold'ems knows that there is some places they can go and get some houses cheap, where they can accommodate themselves, where they can hide inside the multitude of people, they can be there to be, going out from there to be launching out their criminal activities. So if government is interested in tackling security, that is part of it. Now, the people that are there, that's why government is letting that place be, are the indigenous people. Because they still laying claim to it that they have not been resettled or integrated. If we have Abuja Development Commission, because I can tell you that since 1999, I don't know much of what the Department of Resettlement and Integration is doing in the Ministry of Federal Capital Territory, because we have not achieved much from that department. But today, if we have Abuja Indigenous Development Commission, focused on developing and integrating, relocating the indigenes from those main areas for now, like Otako, like if you go to Gwarimpa, inside the mid of Gwarimpa Estate, there is an incident that just happened about a few days ago.
There were clashes between,
If you have taken out that kind of slum away from there, we will not have the criminals who will be dealing with drugs and other things located in such an area. So when this bill is passed, the work of this bill is to do some of these things that MFCT authority has not been able to do for the indigenes, and that will also affect the residents of Abuja. They will tackle the issue of education. Okay. They will tackle the issue of resettlement. They will tackle the issue of integration. You can imagine today, even if that small place in Otako, the indigenes there, based on discussion between them and the commission with MFCT authority, can decide that the people can be integrated inside Otako. We can build high-rises there and share it to the families.
What's this whole plan of yours, aside this Indigenous People's Development Commission that you've mentioned? You've also talked about establishing the office of a mayor for FCT. I mean, this, of course, would require legislation to pass, because I know we have local council chairman. I know we have a minister in charge of the FCT. We have a senator. We have House of Representative seats. I mean, what's with this, your plan of the office of a mayor? Okay.
The local government chairman are not the one administering like the hospitals we have in Abuja. We have Monday Secretary on health, which is under the Minister of FCT. But the problem we have here is this. Because the minister did not come to power under elected position, is an appointee of the president. So all his allegiance goes to the president. They will not be eager to handle things as it affects the residents or the people of Abuja. Assuming today, if the minister is elected to be a mayor, it comes through an elected position, the minister should know that the people in Gwagwalada needs more hospital. Because maybe during the electionary campaign, it must have gone around just like we have gone around now.
But won't that be denying Abuja of a ministerial position? Because
No.
the Constitution is also very clear with regards to the appointment of ministers by Mr. President. It says he has to pick from every state. And remember, you also said Abuja may not be a state, but it has the status of a state and is treated like a state.
Yes.
So that means the governor, the president also has to pick a minister for the FCT.
The status of the mayor will not be like that of the governor. It's something that will be done through legislation. Anywhere that it will clash with the presidential powers as relates to Abuja, maybe talk about the land ownership of Abuja. These are all the things to be taken care of in this legislation. But the important thing is services to the people of Abuja. To make sure that our hospitals function well, to make sure that our schools function well, to make sure that infrastructures are taken down to the people in the rural area. If you come to Abuja today, out of the Abuja North, which is Amak Buhari Federal Constituency that I will be representing, half of it are in the rural area. Go down to that rural area, no roads, no hospitals, nothing.
So I get a sense that, and you know, you sound quite passionate, and I get a sense that it does look like you are not satisfied, or you are inferring that you are not satisfied with the administrative and political structure of the FCT, and you may, upon inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, be seeking some changes.
Yes. We are not.
You're not even trying to pretend about it.
No, why will you pretend? We are here to represent the people. And when their people are not getting what they should be getting, it's a concern to us. That's why I contested in the first place. We need a mayoral status for Abuja, so that our hospitals can function like I said. So that the needed, about a few months ago, I went to Nasarawa here. Nasarawa State, Karo local government, Nasarawa State. I was amazed when I got there. I saw how their roads of the streets, two side gutters. Here in Abuja, just during the election, because we were talking much about how bad the satellite towns, the state of the roads looks like. That's why they started working on it. Go to Nyanya. Nyanya is like a glorified village. Go to Kubwa as a satellite town and see the state of Kubwa roads.
You know, and you've talked about all of this, but how sure are you that legislation can really change things?
It can.
It can.
It can.
And oversight as well.
And oversight as well. The problem is, it's just like I've talked about school. Every year there is budget for UBE. There is budget for all education in FCT. There is budget for health in FCT. You cannot just budget and go back and sit down. I think that the major problem we have is that of oversight function and the structure of Abuja. These are the two major issues that are affecting Abuja.
How deeply and how keen are you going to be seeking collaboration to achieve some of these set targets? I mean, targets you've set for yourself. Because, and you would, of course, I'm sure you realize that you may need to cross party lines. You definitely need to cross party lines to achieve some of these your key objectives.
Let me say this. We're talking about Nigeria here. It's not just issue of Labour Party or APC or PDP. If Abuja is good, it's good for all. We are going to bring a strong argument to the table and tell my colleagues why Abuja needs a mayoral status.
Okay.
And all of us will work together to make sure that there will be nothing that Abuja can never be like Lagos. It can never.
Okay.
Because the state was there from the ab initio.
Okay. Let me quickly move you along because we're fast losing time. And this is something I consider quite germane as well.
Okay.
And I know that there's already a sharing formula between the FCT, that's the Ministry of the Federal Capital Territory Authority, and council areas to avoid issues of multiple taxation, especially in areas like property tax and tenement rates. But, you know, there are still incidences where these duplicities happen. You know, what are your thoughts basically on these, on some of these duplicity of taxes, especially how they impact on small businesses in the FCT, you know, and people trying to survive and having to pay multiple taxation, small businesses. But of course, you also do realize that Abuja has to make some money. So, any thoughts on internal revenue services and how to boost their
I will
operation?
come in like this.
Okay.
Now, like I told you before, I was an elected councillor here.
Councillor, yes.
So I have served in the council. I know that the council have rights by law to collect their revenue. But also, even without legislation, as a member to be representing Abuja very soon, it is my duty to also call the council, area council chairman and sit down with them and tell them the damage and the effect multiple taxation is causing to the small businesses in Abuja. And also, look at this. Abuja in the 21st century, the manner in which way that we are collecting taxes should be automated. Should be automated. We can't go on the street and be chasing people here and there, trying to lock up people's shops and everything.
But you actually see some people wear green uniform.
Yes.
They stand by the road.
So we can do better than
they say
that.
They're from local. They're
We
either
can
from
do better
Amak
than
or they're
that.
from
And
Buhari.
we can harmonize these taxes. How can one business, just a business, have tenement rate demand notice, have business promises demand notice, have environmental sanitation demand notice? All these things can come under one demand notice. Harmonized tax system.
Your constituents will be looking at you or looking up to you to help push some of these messages to the floor. After all, the National Assembly legislates for Abuja.
Of course.
That is Abuja's State House of Assembly.
That is what it is.
You know, but since we've talked about that issue, let me bring up something else that I think is quite germane. I'm sure you know you've noticed that, and I'm talking about this whole issue of waste management and the rampant trend of open defecation. Drive along Kubwa Expressway, or you drive along Duse Buhari Road, and you see people doing their business in the open without shame. But importantly, with no option of public toilets along some of these routes. I know there's a standing directive to offices and business establishments in the FCT to allow people use their facilities, you know, to do their business or for such things. But how many of them are along the express, and are they even accessible? Do they have an open door policy? What options will you be preferring as a member representing Buhari Amak, deeply affected, you know, to tackle this whole issue come inauguration of the 10th Assembly? Or will you be waiting just what do you plan to do?
I must confess, recently I see that the Minister of MFCT is doing a little thing about that. I can see some public toilets springing up here and there.
Express?
But yes, but this is what that's supposed to be done like years back.
Oh, okay.
So you will not blame anyone who have the call of nature if there is nowhere that government have provided for him or her to go. How do you want him to do that? He must obey the call of nature. So we should encourage more of that. Okay. And I should see that more budgets are done for the provision of such amenities to the people of FCT.
Very quickly, Honorable. Yes. Yes or no answer. Yes. Abuja CCTV project, something you're interested in?
Very much interested.
Perfect. Solar powered street lights?
Very much interested.
Traffic light, revitalizing some of the moribund, or let me not use the word obsolete, but some of them are non-functional, but reviving traffic lights along major parts of the FCT?
Yeah, very much interested.
Insecurity and identifying black spots, you spoke to that already?
Of course, and I can add something to that.
Yes, please.
I believe that Abuja can have drones. Drones can help us in Abuja in terms of fighting insecurity.
How about transport system and integrated public transport system?
Abuja should have an integrated transportation master plan.
Power supply?
But these are all in my 6-point agenda. But that is not all I can explain tonight.
Very well, very true. And we're out of time. We're also out of time. Member-elect for Buhari Amak Federal Constituency of the FCT Labour Party's Joshua Chinedu Obika. I would like to thank you so much for coming on our program tonight. And of course, we'd like to, on behalf of the NTA, wish you plenty of luck as you go ahead to represent them. We are all your constituents. We are residents in Abuja, so you do represent us. We will be putting you to tax. We will be monitoring your progress and how you represent us. Thank you so much for coming on our program tonight.
Thank you, Nadi, for having me.
And that's it for tonight. Do join us again on Wednesday for another episode of the program, The Mandate. I will be seeing you then. My name is Nnamdi Odikpos. Bye for now.